Bowling with the top bowling stars of America. Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Top Star Bowling. We're here at the Hoffman Lanes in Hoffman Estates, just outside of Chicago, Illinois, and here with a very fine attraction for you once again. I'm Jack Buck, and each week it's my pleasure to introduce the participants on the show who will be competing for a portion of the $40,000 in prize money. $1,000 to the winner of the match, which is upcoming, $500 to the loser, along with a very attractive LaSalle wristwatch for each of the contestants. And I might point out right here that in the very near future, we're going to be, for your edification, some of the outstanding women bowlers in the country here on Top Star Bowling, and you can look forward to that. The first man I want to introduce is one who will be here for the third week, having won 2 previous matches, defeating Don Ellis from Houston, then Bill Pace from St. Louis. This fellow is also from St. Louis by way of Akron, and he is Mr. Dick Hoover. Dick? Good to see you.
Thank you, Jack. Nice to be here again.
You're getting to be a habit with me.
Well, it's a fine habit to get into.
An expensive one for somebody, but a fine one for you.
That's right.
Well, it's interesting, Dick, to see that these people come from all portions of the area. However, we have a fellow who is not too far from St. Louis as your opponent today.
That's right, outside of Kansas City there.
And we shall meet him right now. We're talking about a gentleman whom they call the Big Train. I don't know why. He's had a high series of 790 to give you an indication of the sort of bowler he is. Mr. Glenn Blakesley. Glenn, how you doing?
Fine, Jack, fine.
One smile, and that's all I'll ask from you.
Just one.
Because he doesn't smile when he starts bowling. You have your hands full here today. Glenn, you two are rather different sort of bowlers with regard to style, are you not?
Well, I would say so, yes. Hoover's pretty fast. He's a pretty strong boy, and he got a bad habit of hitting that pocket all the time.
Right, he's been there, too, in the past couple of weeks, and if he's in there again today, why...
He's real tough, real tough.
What about this nickname of the Big Train? Shall we forget it, or do you have an explanation for it?
Well, about the only explanation I have for it, a chiropractor back in Kansas City tacked that on when I was bowling with him. Why, I don't know.
You've been carrying it ever since.
That's right.
Glenn, the very best to you.
Thank you.
And to you, Dick Hoover.
Thank you, Jack.
Folks, I'm sure that we're going to have a very wonderful match for you this week on Top Star Bowling. And we're all set to go with the first of 3 matches, total pins count. First of 3 games is, of course, what I meant to say, and we're off and running here in the match with Glenn Blakesley up on 29. Dick Hoover won the toss and elected to start on the other lane, so Blakesley gets us off and running in great fashion with a strike. Now Dick Hoover. Dick Hoover won his last 2 weeks, defeating Don Ellis from Houston, who had won for 3 weeks, and taking on a new challenger, Bill Pace, in a very heart-rendering match, which was decided by only 12 pins. Dick sent Bill Pace back home. There is his ball, and in the pocket. That nasty habit that Glenn Blakesley referred to, with a very, very strong ball that Dick Hoover throws. Throws a good deal harder than most of the bowlers. Not as hard as 1 or 2 that you probably know of. But there certainly is a contrast in styles here. Dick Hoover from St. Louis by way of Akron. Husky individual, as you can discern. He's 5'11", weighs 215. Strong boy. Gets that ball out there, and this one didn't get in the pocket this time, and he leaves the 2-4. With me here at the table, as a statistician and fellow announcer, is Jerome Whitey Harris, a member of the Brunswick advisory staff. And he's the one who keeps us informed as to the pin difference. Most of the time we're right. And in addition, gives you some very fine comments pertinent to the bowling that you're watching. The 2-4 for Dick Hoover for the spare, and he had a root for that ball to break a little more to cover that 4 pin. He got it, so he starts with a strike and a spare. And here's Glenn Blakesley, who very early in game number 1 of the match has a chance to take the lead if he can get the first double of the match. Can't argue with those, can you? Glenn Blakesley, he wants us $1,000 here today. $1,000 for the winner, $500 for the loser, along with that attractive LaSalle wrist. Participants on the show. It's a King of the Hill format. A 3-game match, total pins count. Glenn Blakesley looking for 3 in a row. He really turns that ball over. A full roll. He might get the Brooklyn, and he does. He might get the Brooklyn, and he does. He made a mistake, and he got away with it, Whitey, and that's what you need when you're taking on a fellow like Hoover.
Yes, that's correct, Jack. We're going to look back on this one and see if actually this would be a turning point in the match.
3 in a row. Now Dick Hoover working on a spare. He's down in the match, but he's in the pocket and gets it. I have a feeling that as a result of Dick Hoover being here for the third time and Glenn Blakesley being the sort of bowler he is, and he is a very intense performer, I have a feeling that we're going to have some rather high scores right here, but that's probably all it'll take, a little remark from me to bring about a bunch of splits and misses and chops and cherries and everything else. Dick Hoover looking for a double. Whoops. 4-pin. A shaky 4-pin. He couldn't drop it. So he doesn't have a double as yet. And Glenn Blakesley has started with 3 in a row. As we've mentioned on the previous shows, Dick is the only bowler ever to win the Masters tournament 2 years in a row. And he did that in 56 and 57. 2 consecutive victories in one of the biggest of all tournaments. His 4-pin is covered. So he has strike spare, on his way to a Dutch 200. Blakesley has 3, going for 4. No 10-pin. So Hoover left a 4-pin and a 10-pin stops the string by Glenn Blakesley. He's much the same size as Dick Hoover. 6 feet tall, 210. Used to be a sheet metal worker, didn't he, Whitey?
Yes, Jack, and now he's gone completely into the professional end of bowling, and which includes instruction and also going on the professional bowler's trail.
And there's the 10-pin for Blakesley. And so he has 79 through the third frame with a spare up and a 19-pin lead over Dick Hoover, who has 60 through the third frame with a spare up. Blakesley hasn't had trouble with this 29. He's had 2 strikes on here so far. And he crossed over there before, and this time he didn't quite get up. Is there an explanation for that, Whitey?
I think this would be the normal reaction of a star bowler like this, Jack, that he's going to give it a little bit more room, and that's what happened on that. That's that inside lane, that left lane.
So he got a Brooklyn on there in his previous effort on 29. This time didn't get up to the head pin, so he's shooting the 2-4-5-8. Looking for his second spare in the row. And he covered all 4 pins very, very nicely. That's his 5th frame, giving him 95 through the 4th with a spare up. And here's Dick Hoover, who has had 2 strikes, both of them coming on 30 here, which is where he chose to start. And that is significant. Let's see if he hits it again. He's out. Threw that one out the window and leaves the 1-2-4. And so Hoover hit that 1 lane twice in a row, but this time didn't get up to the head pin. One of the few times, by the way, and this is Dick's 3rd week on the show, that he has failed to be in that pocket. However, this fellow allows very few opens to come about. Let's see if he covers his 1-2-4. He does, and that's another spare for him, giving him 77. And so it's Blakesley 95 through the 4th with a spare up, and Dick Hoover 77 through the 4th, likewise with the spare working. Of concentration, thinking that has to go on up there. He's right on the head pin, but gets the strike. He carries. He carries. Well, Blakesley had a lucky drop with his Brooklyn, and now Dick Hoover crosses over, hit one right on the nose. Glenn Blakesley here is working on a spare, and he's in the 6th frame. Right inside that second arrow. He seems to have a line on it, and Whitey, I have seen Blakesley bowl quite often in the past, and I think he's changed his style a little bit. He used to be way outside and throw a real big hook, but he has done away with that now. Whether it's for this particular pair or not, I do not know.
I think, Jack, when they're going to so many tournaments, it's better to shoot a short-breaking hook than the big, wide sweeper.
So now that Glenn has devoted full time to this sport of professional bowling, He's done away with that big wide hook and drives that ball into the pocket and gets his double. So he started with a three-bagger, comes back with a double, and Mr. Hoover has his hands full here today on Top Star Bowling, which we certainly hope you enjoy. Comes to you from the Hoffman Lanes, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, near the O'Hare Airport, just outside of Chicago. Hoover looking for a double to try to match Blakesley. Oh, and a 10-pin. Pretty good hit. No action from that 6-pin. Leaves the 10. And has to shoot that 10-pin for his spare. At the moment, the difference in the match is 18 pins in favor of Glenn Blakesley, and he can add to that because he has a double working. Hoover covers the 10 nicely. You'll notice the grimness displayed by these performers. Not only these two, but all of the performers. Nothing jolly about this competition. And trying to get on a strike. He was on the head pin again. Didn't get the strike this time. Leaves the 4-7. By the way, for the neophyte with regard to bowling, there's a hand dryer that Dick Hoover is using right at the moment over the cluster ball return, in case you're wondering whether he's posing or just what he's doing. Hoover with the 4-7. And the hand dryer, by the way, which Glenn Blakesley is now using, is a Brunswick innovation. And it comes in quite handy. Something of the sort is needed. Glenn here looking for his second three-bagger of the game. And he leaves what Hoover left up on 29, the 4-7. Nonetheless, he's in good shape here in the early going. Between games and at the close of the match, you'll have a chance to further meet these bowlers as we talk with them going along here to learn their impressions of the match to date. Down goes the 4-7, giving Blakesley 163 through the 7th with a spare up. 135 through the 7th with a spare up for Dick Hoover. A 28-pin difference. The first appearance on the show for Blakesley. He's the challenger here in the King of the Hill format that we employ. That was beautifully in there. He has a good angle going for him. It's very easy to discern. And carrying very, very nicely. Blakesley has 6 strikes out of the 9 frames. He has one to work on. Here's the 9th frame for Hoover. He has one to work on. Now, who's going to have the good roll-off? Who's going to have the good 10th frame? Hoover continuing along, and he can have a 215 game if he goes all the way. 243 for Blakesley if he can go all the way. Hoover in his 10th frame, looking for a double, trying to strike out. There goes the 10-pin. The 10-pin looked at him for a while. And then it dropped. Now the big one. Right, Whitey?
It's interesting to note on his next pitch, Jack, to see if he resorts to his speed again. I noticed in the last 2 pitches he has been increasing it.
I think he's been increasing throughout in the game, hasn't he?
Yes, that's correct.
Even that one, I think he started with that one he threw out the window and back in the 5th frame. Left the 1-2-4. Now he's looking for his first 3-bagger of the match. And he wrapped that 6-pin right around the 10. You can't hit him any better than that. And so, he has to pick the 10-pin here for a 204 game. Meanwhile, Blakesley, if he can go all the way, 243, could have a 39-pin advantage here at the end of the first game. For Dick Hoover, it's 204. Here's Blakesley, who started with 3 in a row, spared in the 4th and 5th, came back with the double in the 6th and 7th, spared in the 8th, struck in the 9th, looking for the double, here in the 10th frame. Uh-oh. He leaves the 3-pin, and he was rooting for that ball to get on over, so he's not going to have that real high game. He has to bring this back for 220-some. Could end up with 223 and a 19-pin lead. I would say that Dick Hoover was very fortunate that Glenn didn't strike that. 3-pin goes down. And that's going to put Glenn in the 220s. 223 if he carries all 10. And a 19-pin lead, which should satisfy Glenn somewhat, but he let that one get away from him in that 10th frame, that biggest ball of all that he threw. Glenn ends with 222. 222 for Glenn Blakesley. So he has taken the lead. 222 for Blakesley, 204 for Dick Hoover. And that's Dick Hoover is with us at the moment. Dick is trailing by 18 pins prior to the start of the second game. Dick, you're stopped by a couple of 10 pins.
Yes, I wasn't exactly throwing the ball too well that game, Jack. It seemed like I was trying to be a little too accurate, and when you start doing that, well, you don't get to let the ball roll as freely as it should roll.
Whitey and I were talking about your speed. Were you changing speed and getting stronger toward the end?
Well, that's a tendency I have. I want to try to hold it down a little slower, but then I get rushing a little bit and pick up speed, and then, well, you can't get the ball out there exactly where you want it.
But for the most part, you feel pretty well at home on this pair right now?
Yes, I know where to throw the ball, just the idea of getting it out there properly.
Meanwhile, your opponent seems to have found the line. He must have been spying on you the past couple of weeks.
Well, I see where they got that name Freight Train now.
He's coming on like one. Dick, good luck to you as we continue along.
Thank you.
And we're all set for the second game here on Top Star Bowling. Dick Hoover starts the second game on 29. He started his first game with a strike. Looked to be free and easy, and he avoided the split, leaves the 6-10. I think you'll agree that it's interesting to talk to these bowlers at the conclusion of the game to gain their impressions, learn what they're thinking, see what they've been doing and what they're going to try to do if it's something different. Dick Hoover here won the ABC Classic Doubles, along with Glenn Allison, whom you'll be seeing in the future here on Top Star Bowling. That was in '62. The 6-10. That's a meaningful pick for Dick Hoover, because that 6-10 goes down in his history and certainly in his memory, as they failed to convert that one time. And really cost himself and his team, so that 6-10 is a bit of a dilemma for him. Blakesley started with 3 in a row in the last game. And no 10-pin. You see, looking back in the first game, he had one 10-pin leave. In the first game, he had 6 strikes. Dick Hoover had 5. The difference was that Blakesley had a 3-bagger and a double. Dick Hoover had only 1 double. An 18-pin lead for the challenger here. 10-pin. On a questionnaire, we asked Glenn about a hobby. He indicated none, which means that bowling is a business to him and not a hobby. He throws that full roller. He really turns that ball over. And another 10-pin, 2 in a row. Wasn't much wrong with those hits, Whitey.
No, they're both solid, and I'm sure that Glenn, being the bowler he is, he won't change his angle or his speed, because when you're that close, you're going to stay there.
Just keep bombing away. So he's left 2 10-pins. Dick Hoover left the 6-10, you'll recall. So we've had no strikes so far here in the second game. Glenn here won the Akron Open in '62. 2 spares again. So he has 19. With a spare, Dick Hoover can get on a strike here. He can start whittling away at that lead that Glenn Blakesley enjoys. And he's outside again. The 1-2. Somebody in the crowd yelled, "Hurry!" And that's probably what Dick Hoover was thinking, but the ball just didn't get up there for him. In 1962, in the PBA Winter Tour, Dick Hoover was third in the money winnings. Won his share and then some. So he spares. He's another pin down. He's 19 pins down right at the moment. Trying to get on a strike. Yeah, there it is. There it is. There's a strike for him to work on. Head-and-head competition here on Top Star Bowling for $1,000 first prize. $40,000 in all is involved in the series with regard to prize money. $500 for the loser on the show. LaSalle wristwatch for each, a very attractive watch. Dick Hoover's already won 2 of those. Blakesley answers the call, comes back with a strike of his own.
Think these bowlers at least need a handicap, Jack?
Oh, yeah, they wish they could have a handicap. Blakesley, I'm sure, would like to have a few pins going for him when he takes on Hoover, and Hoover would like to have a few going for him when he takes on Blakesley, but no such handicap system employed here. Blakesley trying to double, and he does. You know, Whitey, as long as you mention it, it really is the handicap that has made league bowling so popular today. That means that even the lowest average bowler can go out there and keep his head up and compete on an equal basis with anybody and everybody. Clean up on the individual prizes as well. This handicap system guarantees enjoyment for every member of the league. There's Hoover once again failing to get up. So listen, even though you can't bowl like the Hoovers and the Blakesleys, don't stay away from your local bowling lanes. Get out there, take advantage of this handicap system, and have the same kind of fun that these people have. Probably won't make the money. Who needs it? Dick Hoover shooting the 2-pin. Falling further behind in our match.
In his cover of that pin, Jack, evidently this is what he's doing on the first ball, because normally Dick Hoover would never go to the left of the 2-pin.
Of course, maybe something like that was what he needed to show him what he was doing wrong, and he may be able to take advantage of that. Here's Glenn Blakesley getting further ahead as Hoover tries to get on a strike, and he does. And it's that 4th frame is one that might hurt Dick Hoover in the long run, because Dick had a strike in the 3rd, and then missed the head pin in the 4th, came back with a strike. So here's Blakesley, and he's well ahead now. 29 pins, looking for a 3-bagger. Very steady bowler, very strong bowler. Gets it out there. He seems to hit the mark and roots for it and gets it. He's off and running, and he has a very thin angle going in there for him, but he turns that ball so much that he gets terrific action. He's playing these way inside. See where he puts it down. He's down well inside that 2nd arrow and still didn't get up there, to give you an idea of the very slight hook that he is throwing. So that gets him off the string of strikes. He had 3. Hoover probably breathes a bit more easily right now as a result. We've moved along to the 6th frame of the 2nd game. Blakesley has a 36-pin lead. Remember, however, that Dick Hoover has a strike working for him in the 5th and could do something about the lead when he gets back up there again. 258. He wasn't too sure.
It was an unusual follow-through to be on your right knee and the approach helping that ball along.
He wasn't quite sure. Okay, Dick Hoover, if you're going to get a double. Yeah. So he just keeps throwing away and not changing, as Whitey indicated, even though a few 10 pins have been left. 26-pin advantage now for Blakesley, and 10 more of that lead would disappear right here if 10 pins go down. 2, 4, 5, 8. Light again. That's about 4 pitches in the game so far. Not in this game, in the match so far. Where Dick has failed to get up. Well, that double did him some good anyhow. 30-pin difference right at this point. Of course, the pin count here hurt him too, as he leaves 4. Hey, he wasn't quite sure of that one either. But he did get the 5-pin after all. So, Glenn Blakesley has 116 through the 5th with a spare up. Dick Hoover has 124 through the 6th with her up, and Blakesley leads by 30 pins. And with that 30-pin lead, Glenn Blakesley is up on 30, rolling in the 7th frame. Working on a spare. Whoops. And a getaway. 3-6-10. We haven't had any splits in the match so far, have we, Whitey?
No, this has been quite a match. And
no opens, huh?
No opens either, Jack. And this is in respect to Hoover's great bowling. You realize that in all previous shows, Hoover's only open has been an 8-10.
Uh-huh. Here's Blakesley looking for his spare. Oops. Well, I guess we're... So there's the first open. I guess we talked him into that one as Blakesley opens in the 7th. The cherry taking the 3-6 off the 10, giving him 142. That 30 pins is going to dwindle. Dick Hoover, we remind you, has a spare working for him in the 7th frame. And he could actually go ahead in this game and be only 16 pins down. But Blakesley gets himself a little insurance and reassurance. And now here's a very, very important ball for Dick Hoover. He has to match that strike that Blakesley has working. He wants to pick up all the pins he can to cut into the lead. Go ahead in this game. Looks like we have some excitement building up, and Hoover really let that one roll nicely, and he gets his strike. You could just tell that he went up there full of confidence. Really let that ball roll for him. He has 144, Blakesley 142 through the 7th frame. They each have a strike working. That takes 2 pins off the lead that Blakesley had at the beginning of the game, which was 18. Now it's only a 16-pin difference. Who's going to double? Who's going to get hot here? 9th frame for Dick Hoover. And no 5-pin. I thought he had that one out there rolling nicely for him, but the ball didn't carry through. The 5-pin stays, and now Glenn Blakesley can regain what he lost back in the 7th when he opened by getting a strike when he comes up in the 9th. We've talked to Dick Hoover before, and if you've been watching the show with some regularity, and we hope you have, he indicates that he leaves a few more 5-pins than the other top star bowlers. There's the spare. Giving Hoover 164 through the 8th frame with a spare up. Glenn Blakesley now bowling in the 9th. Out, up, strike, double. So he had 6 strikes in the first game. Came back and had 5 strikes in the second game. So far. So, he's going to be leading, it appears, when we go into this 3rd and final game of the match. We have something special coming up for you next week in Top Star Bowling. I'll tell you about it in a minute. I know you want to concentrate on this. Looking for 3. Roll off. Strike. There's his turkey, and he's on his way, perhaps, to that 232 game. 214 is the best that Dick Hoover could do, and he'd have to strike out to do so. We're going to have a chance to talk to Glenn at the end of this game. He should feel like talking. There it is. Boy, he really bounced back after that open frame in the 7th. The first open of the match for either man when he cherried and left that 10-pin. Now one more for 232 after having bowled 222 in the first game, and a chance for a very fine series here for the fellow from Kansas City. A chance for $1,000 along with LaSalle watch, and a chance to stick around and be on a future Top Star Bowling show. Glenn Blakesley ends with 232. 232 for Blakesley with a nose hit. Nice game, evidently, Dick Hoover said to him as they came back. Very little conversation goes on up there, but Dick Hoover felt like congratulating Glenn, and Glenn acknowledged it. 232 and 454. Now Hoover working on a spare. Wants to strike out. They used a 4-7 just a bit high. That ball was really burying in there and diving in when it arrived at the pocket. And so the best Dick Hoover can do would be 202 and a 30-pin difference here, and he could be 48 pins down. He's going to be 48 pins down at least. There's the spare for Dick. That's something special I was telling you about, is the fact that next week in Top Star Bowling, we're going to have two of the outstanding lady bowlers of the country here. And we're sure that you're going to enjoy watching the ladies. And it'll be right in the middle of the series with the men, too, so a chance for that contrast to impress you. Hoover looking for a 10 count. Throws that strike. And Dick ends with 202. So it's Glenn Blakesley with 232 and a 454 series. It was Dick Hoover with a 202 and a total of 406. And right at this point, at the end of the second game of our match, Glenn Blakesley, to whom we'll be talking in just a moment, has a 48-pin lead. We'll be back in just a moment for that visit. Glenn Blakesley, who at this point in the match is leading by 48 pins. And Glenn, I suppose the difference in the number of strikes reflects the difference in the score.
Well, of course, I had a miss in there I shouldn't have had, and that could cost me because this guy here, when he starts, he don't stop.
You're talking about that 7th frame and that 10-pin you left. You knew when you let the ball go you were in trouble.
Well, I'm talking about the 3-6-10 the miss that I had in the game.
What happened there, Glenn?
Just threw the ball bad.
You weren't, it wasn't a matter of lack of concentration or anything of the sort?
Well, can't come all perfect, I guess. I just had to have that blow.
Nonetheless, you're in good shape.
Pretty good. I've got to keep going now. I can't ease up any.
You're not going to?
I hope not.
Not even to make it more exciting?
Well, I'll try to get all I can get, that's for sure.
Okay, fine, Glenn. Good luck to you as we continue along here.
Thank you.
And to you also, Dick Hoover. Dick Hoover has quite a hill to climb as we continue with the third and final game here on Top Star Bowling. Glenn Blakesley trying to gain that psychological advantage by bombing one right here and showing Dick Hoover that he still has that pocket lined up. Leading by 48 pins. He's throwing on 29 and failed to get up there, leaves the 2-4-5. Now, I mentioned psychology a moment ago. That could swing over to the side of Dick Hoover if he can start with a strike when he gets up. Glenn Blakesley has had 222, 232 for 454. Dick Hoover, 204, 202, 406. 245, Glenn Blakesley. Hey. We were just through discussing the the 7th frame of the last game when he darn near did the same thing on the other side of the lane here in the first frame.
That was quite an expression of confidence at the foul line there, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Hoover with a strike. He's going to make a match out of this before it's over, you can bet. Glenn Blakesley wasn't just being kind when he said when this fellow starts, he doesn't stop. This high series that we've had so far was a 652 by Don Ellis, who supplied everyone in Texas, by the way, with LaSalle wristwatches when he went back home. We're looking for a double and a good start. There it is. He got that good 10-pin action, got that good action from the 6, Whitey.
We come to the last game again, Jack, and the $1,000 seems to be thing they're aiming for.
That's quite an inspiration. $1,000 plus the right to reappear. $500 to the loser. Glenn Blakesley working on a spare. Oh, boy, that ball really took off on him. Leaves the 3-pin, almost had the 310. I guess he just topped that ball, Whitey.
Yeah, because the way he's rolling that ball, Jack, with that, like I mentioned before, shooting like a marble, he really pulled that one over to the left side.
Mm-hmm. The slightest error on his part, getting that hand up on top of that ball, is going to cause it to run as it did that time with that big hook. And it really crossed over because he was right on that second arrow when he laid the ball down. Here he's looking for his second spare. Dick Hoover has 2 strikes. There's the 3-pin. So it's 19 through the first frame with a strike up. He started with a 48-pin lead. The double by Dick Hoover takes 10 of that away. So Glenn would like to get on some strikes right here. The big train sees a fast caboose catching up with him. There it is. He threw a lot of flack at that 7-pin and dropped it. Now let's see if Dick Hoover can continue his ways. This, by the way, lane 30 is Dick's favorite of the two. No matter what the conditions, all bowlers will have a favorite lane when a pair is involved. He's looking for 3, really firing that ball. What a bad break that was. He really needed that one. He rocked that 10-pin, wrapped that 6 right around it. He hit that so well, Whitey, that the 6-pin jumped up above the belly of the pin and just wrapped right around the neck. You know what happened?
That does happen. That's why that 10-pin stands, Jack. The pin doesn't actually go around the lower section of the pin, but around the neck. He almost had me whistling here. Blow us off the air. I thought for a while he was going to run right by that 10-pin. 49 through the second frame. He's picked up 10 pins. He's down by 38. But don't forget, Blakesley has a strike working for him, and Hoover is working on a spare right here. So Dick gets back on one. So he's had 3 out of the 4 frames for strikes. And remember that 10-pin in the third frame. That might be the one that's going to cost him a little bit of money and a little time in Chicago. Blakesley looking for a double. Trying to regain the momentum in this match, which momentarily has swung over to Hoover. So he rocked the 10-pin also. But not nearly as good a hit as Dick Hoover had. Dick Hoover from St. Louis by way of Akron. Actually, Roseville, Ohio. I think that's the capital of Ohio. Roseville. Don't look at me.
Blakesley with his 10-pin. So he has 59 through the third frame with a spare up. He's ahead by 38 pins right at this point. On a spare. Blakesley with a strike. Well, the one thing you can't argue about is the fact that Blakesley has thrown some strikes. He had 6 in the first game, came back with 8 in the second game. He's had 2 here, so he's avoiding deep trouble. And here is an extremely important ball for Dick Hoover. Is that a double? Yes. And now the lead dwindles even more, Whitey, and I think these fans here are just sitting and waiting for the final 5 frames. Blakesley has 79 through the fourth with a strike up. Hoover has 69 through the third, working on a double. Looking for 3, got it out there nicely, gets 3, and we've got plenty of excitement in our hands. This one is far from being over. You just knew that this one was going to end up this way because in the very first game, Blakesley started with 3 in a row. Hoover with a strike, spare strike. And now here we are. Blakesley has to answer the clarion call with a double of his own. And he's got one working for him, and he's high, and he leaves a 6-pin.
He left the 10-pin on that lane previously. Leaves the 6-pin. Dick Hoover has really narrowed the gap. It's about 28 pins. And it's really difficult to reflect the pin difference when Hoover has that string of strikes working. It's getting late. We're in the 6th frame. An open here would be disastrous. There goes the 6-pin. So Glenn has 99 through the 5th and a spare up, and you know that might not be good enough. This pace that he's maintaining might not be good enough because Dick Hoover is stringing those strikes together. He has burrowed into that 48-pin lead that Blakesley had at the start of the game. It has now dwindled to 18 pins. Fans here are very cooperative. They were quite quiet. There's Blakesley again, hitting that lane. All 3 of his strikes have come there on 29.
Yes, on the right lane, Jack, if you recall, when he got the 3-pin, he was to the left of the head pin. The 10-pin was to the left, and his last hit was it. He's just pulling that ball on his right lane.
Mm-hmm. Hoover has 3. Looking for 4. Boy, he's going up there really free and easy. That's 4. Did you ever see anybody go up there more freely to that line and more confidently in firing that ball? That's 4 for Hoover. The lead is now, what, 18 pins? Less than that at the moment. If he hits one right here, the lead will be only 8 pins for Blakesley. There it is. Dick Hoover showing you why he is up amongst the top star bowlers in the land with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And Mr. Blakesley, who has a strike working for him in the 7th, comes up in the 8th frame, and he would appreciate a double on his own behalf. The lead is, what, only 8 pins now, huh, Whitey?
That's correct, Jack.
Started at 48. It's down to 8. Blakesley looking for a double. Is he there? And the 5-pin. The ball failed to drive through for him. And so, with another hit, when he comes up in that 9th frame, Dick Hoover could take the lead.
I don't think we'd be too far-fetched by saying the big train is about to be derailed.
Well, maybe. Well, maybe. He has to get this 5-pin. He's in his 8th frame right here. Dick Hoover has 5 in a row. Blakesley shooting the 5-pin. He's there. Once again, we have to go back to that 3rd frame in this game where Dick Hoover rocked that 10-pin. Do you remember that one? The 6-pin flipped right around it. Otherwise, he'd have a perfect game going. Now, with that roll-off just around the corner, Blakesley here in the 9th frame, he would really like to have one to work on. He's working on a spare, looking for the strike, which he direly needs at this point. Is he going to get it? That's why he's up amongst the top star bowlers. He's got Hoover looking right down his throat. There's the strike, 159 through the 8th with a strike up for Blakesley. Dick Hoover with a hit right here will go up by 2 pins. Free and easy, throwing it out. Uh-oh, right on the nose. He gets away. He gets away from the split, which really would have killed him, but he leaves the 4-7. It appears right at this point that we have an even match on our hands. We could have a tie, in which case both would come back for double the prize money on a following program. Shooting the spares, Dick Hoover. Whoop. Oh, what a string of strikes he hung out there. You could hang your wash on that one. Be trying to hurry. 5 in a row. 207 through the 8th with a spare up. Now Blakesley, when he comes up in the roll-off in the 10th, has that strike to work on and could put himself in a position where Hoover couldn't catch him. Dick Hoover now on the roll-off. There's one. So Hoover with 227 could bowl 257 in this game and still could lose.
It amounts to this, Jack, that whatever Hoover does, Why, the big train's got to do the same thing right now at this point if he catches that first strike in the roll-off. Blakesley. So he's sitting back there watching Hoover.
So he has to get that first strike when he comes up. Hoover looking for his second one. There he is. You know, he has had only 2 frames in which he didn't strike, and he's on his way to a 257 game here with a 10 count. So Glenn Blakesley, when he comes up there, is going to have to do exactly what Hoover's doing, at least 2 strikes. Oh, boy.
Would you like to be sitting in Blakesley's shoes?
I'm happy right where I am. It's very enjoyable up there. And Dick Hoover ends with 250. Boy, what a blazing finish by Dick Hoover. He had 10 strikes. Now Blakesley has to go all the way out to win this match, despite the 48-pin lead which he had when it got going here in the 3rd and final game. 663 for Dick Hoover. Everybody quiets down. Blakesley has to get that first one in there for the double. He's a little high. He fails to carry the 4-7. The Met does it. That does it. He cannot win it. So Dick Hoover is going to be around again, and Dick Hoover wins another $1,000. This will be his 3rd victory.
He really wanted to be king of the hill, Jack, with a display of strikes.
Oh, boy,
put in there.
who can argue with that? 10 strikes, a 10-pin in the 3rd frame. Or was it here in the 9th frame, a 4-pin? 10-pin and a 4-pin kept him from a perfect game. Blakesley shooting his spare. Boy, he's given us quite a show, too, hasn't he? There's his spare. He's going to end up with 190-some. A 10 count for 199, which would give him 653, and he would lose by 10 pins, right?
That's correct.
Gee whiz. Blakesley with the 10 count coming up. There it is. 199, the handshake, a very friendly attitude that always prevails amongst these bowlers. Glenn Blakesley, 199, 653. Dick Hoover, 257, 663. 10 strikes in the last game. We know you enjoyed it. We know you want to meet the bowlers. You'll do that when we come back.
Well, how did you like that match? Dick Hoover is 663 and 653 for Glenn Blakesley. Glenn, it was a terrific show, and our congratulations on a great effort.
Thank you. I needed 11 more pins there someplace. I'd like to shoot that frame that I had that blow in the 2nd game.
I'd forgotten all about that.
Oh, I remember it.
Glenn, we have for you a very attractive LaSalle wristwatch, the watch for men and women of action, along with a check for $500. That's the one right here, $500 for you, Glenn. And once again, thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor to be here, and I want to congratulate Dick on a nice game there. He's going to be tough to knock off of here.
I should say. Glenn Blakesley, ladies and gentlemen. Man from Kansas City really gave us quite a show. Dick Hoover, congratulations to you. I know that you have a couple of these LaSalle watches. Here's one for the lady of the house that you can take back to St. Louis with you.
Well, thank you, and I know she'll appreciate it very much.
St. Louis by way of Akron. I know I always have to say that when referring to you. And here's the check for $1,000.
Thank you again.
And you have to have that for living expenses for a couple of weeks because it'll be that long before you come back here. And we'll have another one to fire at you, and you might get ready to bowl another 663. What about this series, Dick? How about that 10-pin that you rocked in the 3rd frame? Did you think that was going to cost you?
Well, I know I needed a lot of strikes to pick up 49 pins, and that certainly didn't help the matters any. If I'd have gotten that one, why, it's the time that you break a string instead of continuing a string that makes the larger game.
Next week, Dick, by the way, you can relax and watch the ladies' match that we have here on Top Star Bowling. Marion Ladewig and Joy Abel. That should be good, huh?
I need a rest after that match today.
And so do we after watching you, Dick. Wonderful to have been with you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Jack.
Dick Hoover. Yes, you'll be watching, Dick, 2 weeks from today. 1 week from today, a terrific ladies' match for you. Marion Ladewig and Joy Abel. Certainly hope that you'll tune in and hope that you enjoyed this one today. Jack Buck says thanks for your time this time. Till next time, so long. Top Star Bowling has been presented by
LaSalle, the precision jeweled watch.
Bowling equipment by Brunswick, the #1 name in bowling. Top Star Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress.